Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. If this is the first time that you've joined me on a Thursday night, welcome. This is my Thursday night live demo, and usually I will do a main dish recipe for this live feed, but tonight I'm actually doing something completely not main dish recipe. I am going to show you how to make pumpkin cinnamon rolls, and we're going to get it started. So it is a recipe that does require to rise for some time, so that would be very long. So we're going to just get it started. I'm going to show you the simple steps of getting it going, and then actually from there on out, it's just a matter of letting it rise and then putting it in the oven. So super simple recipe that I think you're going to want to make this at home and have it kind of as a staple for your family during the fall season, because it has all the fall flavors. And it is, well, I don't know. I want to say it's a little healthier than the typical cinnamon rolls recipe, but not really. In the end, it still has a lot of stuff in it. But it is very simple. It is super yummy. And it starts with our pizza crust mix. So simple. This is something I like to keep on hand anyway, just because usually when we're having pizza for dinner, it's not planned. It's usually that thing I make when the day kind of hit the fan and I just needed to make something quick and easy. And for me, pizza's quick and easy. So I do keep this on hand. You can order this off our website. If you have not seen the link for the Feeding America fundraiser that's going on right now, by all means, you're going to want to check that out. That is a great place to place an order right now, unless you are here with a party. So if you're part of Debbie Frank's party, definitely order from Debbie's party, not the Feeding America link. And if you have any questions about that, just ask. I am here to help you with that. Okay, so we're going to actually just put this pizza mix in the bowl of the stand mixer. And then we're going to add literally two other ingredients. We're going to add a can of pumpkin, just pumpkin, like you make for pie. Hey Tracy, I see you. So we're going to add this can of pumpkin, and we are going to add some cinnamon plus. That is it. That is all that goes in. So I read this thing about doing video, and it said you shouldn't be up with a window behind you. And I've always had my window behind me. So I've turned my island so that it's not in that position anymore. And honestly, with it dark outside now, I suppose it really is probably better not to have the window behind me. But I'm really curious to know if that's been something you've noticed, and if you even have an opinion about it. So if you have an opinion, please tell me and let me know if this is better, worse, you couldn't care less, whatever you have to say about it, I really want to hear. Okay, so our three ingredients are the pizza crust mix, a can of pumpkin, and a teaspoon of either cinnamon or pumpkin pie seasoning. Now, it is that season of the year that Pampered Chef has our holiday seasonings available. So I'm using our Cinnamon Plus, which is just basically like a pumpkin pie seasoning. You can also use the crunchy cinnamon. Just know that with the crunchy in particular, you're only going to use half of what the recipe calls for because it's so powerful. Okay, probably could have used half of the other as well. All right, so we're going to put this on the stand mixer, and I totally forgot to make sure I had my dough hook right here, so let me find that. We're going to put this on the knead setting for 4 minutes, and then we're going to let it rest. So I'm just going to come over here, and I'm sorry, I'm off camera for a minute. Let me push this, I guess. Here, now I can do it. Okay, so we're going to turn the button here to the knead setting. I have to tell you, it presets to 8 minutes. We only want 4. When this came out last year and a half ago, it was right before our younger daughter had her first baby, because I went to Uganda to visit her, and she and my older daughter was there already, and they were like, Mom, what are you going to do? Because we have had a stand mixer in our kitchen for well, Hannah's entire life, honestly, because we got it when I was expecting her. And it was Christmas, and I basically begged my husband for a stand mixer. We loved our stand mixer. We had multiples of our old stand mixer. And so they were like, what are you going to do? Because now I have this stand mixer. And, you know, it was like sacrilege to even think about not using my old standby, heavy duty, fantastic mixer. And then I started using this one. So there are things about it. Number one is it has the presets. So you need to knead something, you literally set it to the knead setting, you push start, and it'll just take care of it on its own. It also stops on its own. So if you set it to knead for 4 minutes, like I just did, it's going to do it for 4 minutes, and then it's going to stop. And you can leave the room, come back. If you have other things going on, you're not having to like run to and from the mixer to make sure that you stop it in time. Third, you might have just noticed how it just suddenly started going faster. So for all of the settings, when you start it, it's going to start slow, and then it's going to work its way up so that you don't have flour flying all over your kitchen. If you've ever had that problem, you know how annoying that is. It does have a shield that you can get to go with it. I just don't ever use it, honestly. It's in my drawer over there. But it does have a shield, so if you want to have that pouring shield, you want to, eliminate any possible flying. Whoops, I just literally hit the on-off button. So anyway, I was saying that, when it first came out, I was just kind of like, could it really be that much better? And it actually really is. There are just certain elements of it that are easier to use. It is better balanced than my old one. So when I have to move it in my kitchen, which I don't have counter space for it to stay out on the counter, so I'm always having to move it whenever I use it. And this plate comes off, and we now have a spaghetti attachment. So if you missed that one, you can go check my YouTube channel or scroll down through my page here. If you just put in the search bar spaghetti or pasta, you should see that video pop up. That was super fun. I made that when my granddaughters were here in the summer, and actually probably make it again here real soon. Homemade pasta, y'all, it is not that hard to make, and boy does it taste good. And it actually cooks in less than half the time of store-bought pasta. All right, so we're going to call this good. So we're going to stop it. Doing this upside down and backwards is actually kind of challenging, y'all. Okay, and then we're going to just take this off and take the hook out. And we're going to let this set for about 5 minutes. Now, it says I'm assuming it wants you to just leave it in the bowl, but I'm actually going to put it out here on my pastry mat because I want to use the bowl again to make the filling. And so we're going to just take the pastry mat. If you like to bake and you do not own our pastry mat, this thing is so awesome. So we're going to actually just lightly flour this baking mat, and we're going to put the dough on it to rest and let it sit for about 5 minutes. We're going to cover it with just a towel, but we want to put a little bit of flour on here first. So we do that, and then I can use the bowl for the next thing. So it's just lightly floured. We don't want to put too much down, but don't worry. It's not an exact science. You're not going to ruin it if you put too little or too much. If you put too little, it just might stick. If you put too much, you're just going to have too much. That's all there is to it, okay? So we're literally going to just let that sit for about 5 minutes. Let me grab a clean towel to set over it. There's a little bit of flour in here. If you want to wipe it out, you can do that. I'm not too concerned about it because it's all going into the same recipe in the end. But if it makes you feel better to wash that bowl in between, you go ahead and do that, okay? We are going to add a stick of softened butter. This is really soft. I've had it sitting out all day. I don't know if you know this, but your butter does not actually have to be stored in the fridge at all, ever. And so we just don't store it in the fridge like we keep it in the fridge when we're not going to be using it, but we have butter out in a butter container for daily use, and then this just has been sitting out all day. So, so there's that. But there's just a little FYI for you. We need a cup of brown sugar, which I pre-measured because I needed my measuring cups again. So I've got a cup of brown sugar in here. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of the pumpkin pie spice. Because this is the Cinnamon Plus, I'm going to use 1 tablespoon because I fear that 2 is just going to be too much. Oops. All right, and then we are going to add a tablespoon of cornstarch, which I also have pre-measured. All right, so we have this in the bowl. We're going to take the blending beater, which you would use for like cake mixes or beating brown sugar and cinnamon and brown sugar and butter together and things like that. And we're just going to stick it in here again. And we are going to put this down and we're going to set it on the cream. I want it to cream this together. So that the preset is 2 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm going to actually just take it down to 2:30 because I don't think we're going to need that long. And now you're going to see it again where it's going to start slow and then it's going to speed up. And that's going to just blend it right up for us. So that is the filling for our pumpkin rolls. And then the last thing we need is the frosting. So we are going to make that in this little bowl here. Actually, no, we are not. We're going to make it in a bigger bowl. Hold on. And I might actually cheat and just put this, I will wash the bowl out for the frosting and throw this all in here. We'll see. But we just need 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. We need a tablespoon of milk and a lot of powdered sugar. So let's get that going over here. But have you noticed how this is kind of like just doing its own thing? And all I had to do was start it. And that is one of the things I really love about it. It's so easy to use, especially if you've never had a stand mixer and you're kind of like, I don't know. I am stopping it for a minute because it's got the scraper on the beater, but it never quite gets it all. And I just like to scrape it down kind of halfway through here, make sure everything's getting beat in nicely. So, okay. All right, let that finish off. And my timer went off, so that means the dough is ready to roll out. But I'm going to go ahead and get my cream cheese stuff ready to go here, our frosting. So just need another scraper. Now you know why I have dozens of these. I use them for everything. We're just kind of eyeballing 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. You can also use the markings on the package, of course, or you can weigh it, but it's frosting. It's not a big deal if it's not perfect, okay? And then we're going to add to this a tablespoon of milk and some powdered sugar. So here's a tip I'm going to give you. This calls for a lot of powdered sugar. And since I'm going to do this by hand, I'm going to work this in a little bit at a time into the cream cheese and then add the milk at the end, because I think you'll find that if you try to add everything at the beginning, it's going to just get very lumpy and it's hard to smooth out. Well, there went the powdered sugar, just totally hit the my iPad. Too funny. I already threw it all over the place earlier before I went on camera. So we're going to set that off to the side for just a minute, and we're going to come back to our cinnamon rolls and get these into the pan. All right. So got our beautiful filling all mixed up here, and it's just going to go right on the dough. So if you can see that there. And let me I'm just going to turn the mixer to the side so I don't do something stupid like knock it off my counter here because we are going to be rolling out dough. Let me just get a few things out of the way. And we're going to now roll out our pumpkin dough. So again, this is on this silicone baker's mat. And true story, my daughter who now lives in Uganda, when she was in college, she actually one summer came home and hosted her own Pampered Chef party with her friends, like the moms of her friends from high school here in Corning, because she needed this mat in her apartment in Syracuse. She just couldn't handle not having this silicone mat to roll out pie crust. So I know my kids are kind of unicorns. Not too many kids are all about making pies while they're in college, but Hannah was, and she just couldn't do it without the mat. So she hosted her own party one summer to get the mat and the pie plate, which now live in Uganda. All right, so we are going to roll this out. And one of the things about this mat that's super handy is it has the markings along the edge. I don't know if you can see them here. So it's got centimeters on one side, inches on the other. We need this to be 15 by 10 inches. And so I can just literally roll it out right here on the mat, and it's going to measure it for me. I don't have to get anything else out, which I think is especially helpful. So it's going to roll this out on the mat. If you have our old baker's roller, that will work great. If you have our old marble rolling pin, that will also work fantastic. This is the tapered rolling pin that we now carry, and it really is quite beautiful. I'm just not used to using it personally. So if I look a little clunky, well, like I said, you're going to feel in good company here. All right, so I want 5 to 5, so 10 inches. It's going to be this way, roughly. And then we want 15 inches across. And so we'll do like 7.5 to 7.5-ish here. And I'm going to hold this up so you can see it. Again, this is not a perfect science. Do not feel like you need to cut the edges to make it exactly square. There's our rectangle, okay? And it's just roughly 10 by 15. There's no shame in it being not perfectly rectangle as I pull it into perfection here, but you really don't need to do that, okay? All right, we're going to take this filling and we're going to spread it. I like to get all the good stuff off the beater as well, not miss any of this yumminess. All the parts of the mixer, except for the mixer itself, obviously, are dishwasher safe. So everything just goes right in the dishwasher, which is always good to know, with the exception of the pasta maker. And then what I really didn't think to have out, is a spreader. So when you're doing something like this, having a nice offset spreader just simplifies it. It's called offset because see how the handle is offset, and that keeps you from getting your knuckles in whatever it is you're doing. But having a nice big one for something like this, it just makes the work quick and easy. So we're literally just spreading this in a very thin layer over our dough. And then we're going to roll it up and cut it into the rolls. So I was saying last week, and I'll say it again, it's interesting. Whenever I am in Kenya, I am I'm amazed at how interested people are in what I do. And this trip was no different. We had to, when we'd go into a new community, or we were at all kinds of different places. We were at a prison, talking to prison guards one day. But, we would have to give our name and what we did for an occupation. And so I would say, well, I teach cooking classes. And every single time somebody would stop me afterwards and ask me about my work. And it just made me realize just how valuable teaching cooking classes apparently is. And y'all, I don't have any formal education in this. This is just me figuring it out as I've gone along. Some of it, that's super handy being married to a chef, right? But a lot of it is just me figuring out as I've gone along. And so if you are thinking, boy, I could use some extra income as you head into the holidays, it is our 44th anniversary. Pampered Chef has a terrific special going on right now where you can get 44% off our two larger new consultant kits, or get our smallest kit for just $44. And give it a try as we head into the holidays. And here's the beautiful thing about it. You can try it out, and if it is not your jam in the end, if you're like, yeah, this just wasn't what I thought it was going to be, or I'm happy with all the stuff I got, but I'm done, it is no strings attached, okay? If you decide you want to build a business, I will help you every step of the way. But if you just want to try it out to see if you even like it, you can do that, and there are zero strings attached. I promise you, you're not going to get phone calls from me or our home office saying, why aren't you turning in sales? We just don't operate that way. I will tell you that our team is in a really exciting process of rebuilding right now. We had a lot of people come on during COVID, and then, life kind of went back to normal and things shifted. And so a lot of those people have decided this is no longer for them, which is absolutely fine. Like I said, there are no strings attached, but we are in a great rebuilding stage where I am training new consultants how to do your business completely online, never having to go out and do a live cooking show unless that's something you decide you want to do. You can do it completely from your phone, from wherever you happen to be, as long as you can get an internet connection a couple times a day. So you can run your business from anywhere at any time on your schedule, based on what your lifestyle is like. So whether you need to work, you are looking for a little extra income, rather than taking a part-time job somewhere for the holidays, do this. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from wherever you happen to be, during your lunch hour, during a break, while you're waiting for the kids in carpool. We can talk about how to fit this into your life. Give it a try. Make a little money for the holidays. Our average consultant makes about $600 during the holiday selling season. $600. Would $600 be helpful to you and your family between now and Christmas? I would imagine for a lot of you that could be a yes. And again, I will help you every step of the way, but there is no long-term commitment unless that's just you decide you want to keep going. I hope you will. I hope you'll love it like I do. But I just like to make it really clear, because I have sometimes people think, well, they're signing up for a year, or they're signing up for even 6 months, and you're not. You're not. You're signing up to give it a try. We have a 90-day program to help you get off to a strong start, and that is kind of it. We walk you through that program, and then you decide you want to keep going or you're done. It's okay. It's okay. No hard feelings, but at least you've tried it, and now you know. Okay, but you might be like me and get really addicted to it, and 30 years later, you'll be standing in front of your phone, or who knows what technology we'll have in 30 years, right? And teaching somebody else how to make pumpkin cinnamon rolls for the holidays. So you saw me roll this up. We're going to cut it into 12 even cuts. You can use a serrated knife for this, but I'm actually going to use my spreader because it's pretty sharp. And okay, maybe I'm not. Guess we'll use the serrated knife. Hold on. All right. If you're using the serrated knife on this beautiful cutting mat, you just want to be really careful, because the cutting mat is not knife resistant. And I have cut through mine accidentally. Not this one, but I have another one in the cupboard. Yeah, that was that was kind of a bummer because it does eventually split if you cut it. So just know that, just be careful. Now, this is how to easily cut this into 12 pieces. And was I supposed to do 12? Yes, okay. So cut it in half, cut each half in half. So now you have 4 pieces, and then cut those pieces in thirds. And that is really the easiest way to cut it in 12 pieces and get them pretty even. Because you know what happens if you start at one end and try to eyeball it across the way? You end up with all different sizes. And yeah, I don't know about you, but that would always annoy me when that happens. So it took me years to figure that out, that, oh, if I just cut it in half and cut it in half again and then cut those in thirds. So you get to take advantage of my many years of not knowing that, and now you know it. And you can take that one to the bank. All right, so now we're just at the stage where I'm going to put these. I'm actually going to use our stoneware baker. The recipe calls for, sorry, I meant to have this out. Recipe calls for the new Brilliance pan, but I am a baker girl. I love our stoneware, and if you haven't noticed, it is 25% off this month. Because I'm using the baker, I'm going to add a little oil to the bottom of the pan and brush it in, simply because the Brilliance bakeware that the recipe calls for, it just falls out. I mean, that stuff is so nonstick, it's amazing. And I do love it, but I love stoneware better. So you get to do whatever you decide. The new 9x13 Brilliance bakeware pan is gorgeous. And if you're like, well, I like stoneware, but it's just too heavy, then the Brilliance is going to be perfect for you because it has all the even baking qualities, but it is very lightweight compared to stoneware. And it's beautiful, and food literally just falls right out. So we're just kind of putting these in here. I try to mix that because you're always going to have some that are more narrow than others. So I kind of try to mix them in. So there they are. Okay. I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap. I have preheated my oven to a very low temperature to make it into a proofing oven, just because we don't have our wood stove on yet, and I don't really have a good warm place in my kitchen, so I will use my oven as a proofing oven a lot. The way to do it is you turn it on for like literally 2 minutes. I have a gas oven, so as soon as I hear it turn on, I'll hear it go boom, and that's my sign to turn it off. It'll heat it up just enough to bring it to about 90 degrees, and then I can put this in there with the door shut, and it will raise beautifully, and it takes the normal time. Plastic wrap is not my friend. I really prefer not to use it. But apparently for raising dough, it really is the preferred way. So you can use a wet towel. That's what I would normally do, and see if it makes a difference. I'm following the recipe. Well, almost. I'm not using the right pan, am I? But trying to be legit here. But if you are like me and you prefer not to use plastic wrap, I would say a damp, lightweight kitchen towel would be an option. Okay, so we're going to pop this in my oven, which, like I said, has been just warmed up ever so slightly. So this is how not warm it is. We store a cast iron in here, and I don't have oven mitts on it. It's just warm enough that it'll proof, but it's not hot. It's not going to bake anything. Okay, so we need to finish this frosting, which is going to go on top. And I was saying earlier, and I'll show you now here, especially now that cheese has had a minute to soften. So I've worked in a third of the powdered sugar, and I'm going to just keep working in about a third a cup at a time, and then add the milk. And you'll get a much smoother consistency on your frosting without having to beat it to death. Even if I was doing this in the stand mixer, I would do the same thing. I would add the milk after mixing in the powdered sugar. So the powdered sugar is actually a liquid. So it's liquefying in here, and that's why it gets all nice and smooth. But if it liquefies too fast by adding the milk, that's how you get the lumps. That's how you end up with, it's the cheese that gets lumpy. It's not the sugar. So you want to mix your sugar in with the cheese, which is the fat, and then add your milk. There is this really great book. If you are a foodie and you're not familiar with the Food Lab book, it's fascinating because it basically explains the science behind food, why you want to mix your dry ingredients and your like, you're making cookies, you add the sugar and the butter, then you add your dry ingredients, right? It explains the science behind that. I haven't read a lot of it. Actually, I've maybe only read a couple pages of it, but my kids and my husband are really into it. So they've, I listen to what they have to say about it, and it's really quite fascinating. So I've got all the sugar mixed in to the cream cheese, and now I'm going to go ahead and add the milk. And I want to say, yeah, so we're going to add actually another teaspoon of the Cinnamon Plus into this. But again, I'm going to only add half a teaspoon because it's good stuff. And there we go. You don't really need, usually half of what the recipe calls for is adequate. All right, so that's going in there, and I'm going to go ahead and add the milk. And I'm actually going to even add it a little bit at a time. So this, if I'd had a second, I should get a second bowl for that mixer. I had a second bowl for my old mixer because I would have just thrown this in there. It would have been a lot faster. All right. Almost done. And this glaze is going to go on the cinnamon rolls after they're done baking. So basically the rest of the process is these are going to rise for about an hour, and then we'll preheat the oven. They bake at 325. And before they bake, this is the part where I was like, so, the recipe is just pizza dough and pumpkin and some seasoning. So that's pretty good. Like, we don't have a lot of fat in there. We pour a half a cup of cream over them before you bake them. So there goes all the, oh, these are really low fat. They're not low fat, but they are going to be amazing. And I'm pretty excited to finish this recipe up. I'll post pictures when it's all done. My older daughter and husband and 3 grandkids who live in Virginia are coming for the weekend. So I will taste test one, but the idea is to save the rest of them to share with my grandkids for breakfast Saturday morning, which I'm sure they will be very happy about. So I just want to show you how that just all mixed up really nicely in there. Okay. All right. So that is it for this evening. Thank you for watching. If you've been on live, make sure you've commented. And as long as you're not on my team, you will get put in the drawing. I'll do a drawing from everyone who either comments on you were on live or if you watched the recording. And I will plan to do the drawing on, what's today? Today is Thursday. So let's say Monday the 28th of October. We'll give it a few days for people to have a chance to watch it. I will download this video and edit it and make it shorter. So if you want to rewatch it and be able to fast forward to certain parts, I will do that and get it uploaded into YouTube either tonight or tomorrow morning. So you can rewatch it, and again, you'll be able to skip to different parts, and it'll take out all the ums, and even like this part of the conversation I'll delete out. So faster to watch, not so long. Thanks again. It's always a pleasure to see people popping up here in the chat. And hey, Patty, I see you. Oh my goodness, friend, I was just talking about you like not even an hour ago. In a good way. In a good way. But anyway, so thank you again. Next Thursday night, I have no idea what I'm doing yet. Again, still trying to get my brain back in gear and figure out even our family menu for the next week or two. But I have been looking to some new recipe ideas, and I'm kind of excited about possibly sharing one of those with you. Next Oh, next Thursday is Halloween. So I might bump it and do it Friday night instead. I think I'll do that because I know next Thursday will be a crazy night for a lot of people. And yeah, so I'll just bump it. We'll plan on doing next week's live demo on Friday night instead, and or maybe Wednesday. I'll figure that out. I'll post it. I'll let you know in advance, yeah, so you can plan for it, and I'll figure out what we're making so you can also plan for that. Have a wonderful evening, and of course, if you have questions about anything you've seen today, just give me a shout. Either send me a private message, or if you've got my text number, that's even a faster way to reach me, or comment below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Alrighty, have a good night. Bye-bye.